All right. Good morning, everybody. As you know, my name's David, and I've been asked several times to just share what God is doing in and through my life daily as I read the Word. So here's day one. Hope it goes well. Um, Obviously, I'm not a pastor. I'm just a man of God that reads the Word. I love the Word, and I love sharing the Word. So bear with me, okay? About 3 months ago, the Lord had asked me, well, told me to dive into the book of Ecclesiastes, and I call them tours. Whenever God tells me to do something, to read a certain book over and over and over and over, I call them a tour. A few years ago, I went through a tour of the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And when I was done with my first tour, he said, read it again, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I went through 12 tours of that to understand the gospel. Recently, the Lord told me to just keep reading as many tours as I can from the first day of winter to the first day of spring. And I must admit, I thought I knew Ecclesiastes and Solomon before that. And now that 2 days ago was my last day, today I finished my last chapter. Um, I didn't realize that Solomon was a backslidden king, the wisest king. He was given wisdom by God because he asked for wisdom. When David had passed away and given his son Solomon the throne, Solomon was a very young man, very young, a child, and he did not have the skills of a warrior that his father had. So he didn't know how to lead the army out or to bring them in. I guess there was a certain way they would do it customarily, the way they would lead the people when they would walk through the kingdom, their posture, their structure, the way they went out and in. And Solomon was concerned that people would not respect him for his young age and for his lack of military ability. So he asked God for wisdom. God, in return, very impressed by this young man, not only gave him wisdom, but gave him everything that the world had to offer. What I mean by that was he gave him money, he gave him a good kingdom. God set him up for success. And God used this young man to do many, many things. And as you know, Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. I believe he wrote a few Psalms, one or two. The Song of Solomon. And as I've gone through this 12 short chapters, you see at the beginning of chapter 2, um, in my opinion, Solomon was bored. In my opinion, okay, don't quote me on this, but he decided to take the next step. He knew all things. He knew all things that God had given him the advantage and knowledge of, but then he took it the next step further and decided to know what it was like to drink, to get loaded, to multiply women, multiply horses, multiply money, the things that the Old Testament law said not to do. Solomon went and did that. He says in chapter 2, verse 3, I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, how to lay hold of folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their lives. And you see in a few more chapters, Solomon continues to say, and I searched out how to use wisdom, and I saw madness. Um, Solomon just rants and raves in the next 10 chapters about uh, how depressing it is when you have your eyes on man and the things that man does in life that will never satisfy him. The things of this world will never satisfy you. They will never satisfy me. No matter how hard you work, how long you work, how beautiful your wife is, or how handsome your husband is, your kids, how smart they are, what kind of degrees they got, um, how successful they may be in the world, they will never be happy. They will always be chasing the next thing. Solomon did. And it really ministered to me because I got 5 kids, 2 grandkids. I've been married 24 years. And we've made that mistake of seeking worldly things. We've made that mistake of trying to go to the next level up, to be no longer upper, lower class, but middle upper middle class, and man, did we suffer. We suffered much hurt and pain and destruction by because you got to walk away from certain things. You can't seek the things of the world and seek the things of God. It's lukewarm, Jesus says, and the Lord will spit you out. At the end of all this, um, Solomon comes to his conclusion after seeing what man has done. He says stuff that basically good things happen to the righteous, bad things happen to the righteous, and good things happen to the wicked. He's like, this is madness. It's sickness happens to the faithful in God and to those who do not fear Him. Life happens to people. People get sick and die. There's nothing we can do on earth that's going to allow us to live forever on earth. We're all going to live eternal lives, but heaven or hell is up to us. That's after our time here. So Solomon, at the end, his conclusion that really blessed me, and the reason why I'm sharing today's verse is in chapter 12, verse 13. Solomon comes to the conclusion after all the things he's done, after all the years of backslidden stuff, all these things that he sought out, nothing has satisfied him. Not one thing of this world has satisfied him more than this. He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. And the word fear is not like, don't be afraid. You hear God, you run. It means reverence. To reverence the Father, to reverence God, to have a high respect for Him. When you have a high respect for someone, you're not going to do certain things in front of them. You're not going to act like a fool. You're not going to embarrass people. You're going to behave yourself. We're to reverence, we're to fear God like that. But too many times we catch ourselves fearing men. And it's just a mess. So I love this conclusion. No matter what you do in life, the number one thing is this, Solomon says: fear God and keep his commandments. So there's day one. I'm going to try to keep this under 10 minutes. Bear with me. It's a work in process. But I will say this, brothers and sisters: choose wisdom over the world. Okay? God bless and much love.